Here are the bushes that need trimmed. This one used to be vertical, so we'd probably take off half of this thing. And then this one over here, again, same thing. You can see, okay, so it's way out to there. The stone walk is right, or the stone edge is right here, so this is going to get shaved off severely. It's growing in on the sign. Same thing here. There used to be a foot gap in between the sign and this. And this one is also quite quite large. So the height I'm probably not going to mess with, but the width and stuff is going to get trimmed back quite a bit. And this is the other bush, so they can get taller, but I'm just going to trim these off. And I just see, what is that? Is that a bird's nest? Look at that. There's a bird's nest in there. Nothing in it. So let's get started here. Let's do a cold start on the trimmer itself, and we'll also do the change over. So I guess first things first, let's swap out these attachments before this thing is running. I wanted to say here, I had quite a lot of difficulty attaching and detaching these attachments. So swapping this out from the brush cutter or weed whacker attachment to the hedge trimmer attachment. I think what I did, the reason that I had so much difficulty, starting out, these were actually quite loose, and I tightened the handle a lot to try to snug up the handle here, or the attachment itself, so it wouldn't move and it wouldn't put pressure on that little latch system that I have, or that's on this thing. And I tightened it down so it wouldn't be loose. However, I ended up causing the it's like a clamp now. It's a little bit smaller than what it originally was. So unfortunately, by me tightening that down more, it will make attaching and detaching these attachments on here more difficult. However, what I figured out, I just put a pump, one little pump of grease on my finger, and then just rubbed it around all inside of the end of this thing. And I will tell you what, this attachments, they attached and detached much better. So adding a little bit of, I would probably recommend grease. Grease will probably stay there the most. Oil will kind of run everywhere, and grease is really what you want. At least in my opinion. If anyone has any idea of anything that's better to put in there, put it down in the comments below and let me know. But I could put some like graphite or something, dry lubricant or something like that. See, the problem with grease is that it'll attract dirt, and you really don't want dirt in this thing. You want to try to avoid dirt getting into this thing as much as possible. And that's just, grease was the thing that I had. I could probably even put some dielectric grease in there. I have a whole little container of that stuff I could use. So that's another option, but after it was greased, this thing went attached and detached a lot better. So just an FYI, if you guys are thinking about buying this or even any combi system out there, that you might want to put some sort of a lubricant in that area there. So I just got this thing on, and what I had to do was I really had to push hard on this. I had to stand this thing up sort of like this and press down from the top to get this thing to go in, but it's in now. And so you guys know, this little button here, you will not be able to push this down and tighten that when if this attachment isn't in the whole way. So let's pull off these guards here. One there, and one there. And we will flip this thing around. Just pressing this one and this latch here. And just like that, we're now ready to start this thing, and let's start trimming some hedges. So let's do a cold start on this thing and see how this thing starts up. Switch it to on. Prime it, 6 times. Make sure the choke is in the correct position. Wow, 3 pulls from cold, that's pretty good. I know I'm going to get this comment, I'm not supposed to rev a cold engine, and that is correct. It wasn't super cold when I was doing this. Obviously I was wearing a hoodie, but the reason that the engine didn't want to rev up there is I filled that cavity down at the bottom where the Hedge trimmer is itself, or the gearbox I guess. I filled that up with grease, and the string trimmer itself had to turn the gears and stuff in there and push all the grease around to work and whatnot, because I filled it up with grease, and I probably put a little bit too much grease in there than what should be in there. However, I figured out when greasing those grease zerts, grease will actually come out the bottom or below the top bar that moves on the Hedge trimmer attachment itself. So any amount of grease that squeezes out will squeeze out there. It's not going to break anything or bust any seals or anything in it. It's just going to come out there. So that's really not going to hurt anything that I can see for right now. But you can see this thing is working quite well. I am very pleased with this thing so far. I was cutting through stuff probably almost as thick as my thumb. So at least a half an inch, maybe more thick, probably 5/8 of an inch thick. And this thing took it a little while to get through it, but it did eventually cut it. So I am really pleased with this thing. I used to trim these things with, they were just a Hedge trimmer, a corded one from Harbor Freight, and that worked okay, but I couldn't reach to the top. And this thing, I can reach right to the top with this thing. So I have no complaints, other than my only complaint for running this thing is it is a bit on the heavy side. I'm not going to lie, it is heavy. But again, I have like 52 cc's at my fingertips there, so you also have to think about that too. Now, since the head pivots on that, you noticed I was able to trim the top of the bush, so I really like being able to do that. And as you can see, we pretty much took these bushes back to, well, twigs again. They just time just goes by so fast, and we're always busy doing something else, so we decided to trim these back. What you're seeing now, this is not as far back, trimmed back as what you guys are seeing. I should try to take a picture of what's out there, but they almost look like twigs now, but I'm sure they'll come back. Hope everyone enjoyed this video. I'm very pleased with this thing so far. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and we will see you all in the next one.